Welcome to selfdiscoveryradio.com, where the orchard of wisdom is just ready for picking. We celebrate your why, the journey that you've taken that inspires someone else. We support your services, we support your story. Come and be our guest, become a host, be an author with us. Come and see what we've got. Our next show is...
The Wellness Journey inspires, enlightens, and informs women over 40 and all the people who love them. It is a journey that we will take with tips from authors, doctors, and practitioners of holistic living. During this show, experts in the field will provide tips, tools, and techniques that are fun and simple for all to try. Come join me on this journey. Get inspired, get informed, and get well. Mullins, and welcome to the Wellness Journey podcast series. And this series is all about living your life like it's golden. As I've said before, I chose this series because I really feel that as we age, we should be looking for ways to really enhance our value and our worth. And not only enhance it, but know our value and our worth. Basically, embrace our awesomeness. And to me, gold is valuable. You know, it goes up, it goes down, but it's always valuable. And that's kind of like our life cycle, isn't it? We have good times, we have bad times, but the bottom line, whether we're in the good cycle or the bad cycle, it's still good. We're still good. And so I wanted to focus on topics that can help us embrace that idea of knowing our value and also embracing the idea of being golden, living that golden lifestyle. And to me, a golden lifestyle, of course, means one that is rich, not just rich in, monetarily, although that's nice too, but also rich in terms of how we view our lives and with our health, our relationships, our surroundings, things that really remind us that we are worth it. All the things that we've been through up to this point through our lives, if you're over 40, 50, over 60, like me, all those things that we've been through have accumulated to the wonderful golden woman that we are right now. And I want to introduce you to one of our golden women who I think is just wonderful. Her name is Keisha Dixon. And Keisha Dixon is passionate about guiding women to being authentic and powerful in order to show up in their lives and to live their best selves, you know, owning their value and attracting the wealth that they deserve. And, you know, that's something that women don't like to talk about a lot, or some women don't let me put you all in one group. I'll put myself in that category. It's not one of my favorite topics to talk about money, but it is something that we all think about all the time. And Keisha, has something that's really valuable that she does. She teaches you how to tap yourself to health. And she's going to tell you exactly what that is. She is a transformational coach. She focuses on the wonderful holistic skill of EFT. And I'm not going to give away any of her stuff because she's the expert on what she does. Keisha, welcome to the Wellness Journey podcast series. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Linus. It's an honor to be here. I am absolutely always honored to be in your presence. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be interested in the art of tapping or EFT. In fact, tell us what EFT is, what it's not, all that good stuff.
Oh, happy to. Well, I'm Keisha Dixon, the tapping queen, and I am a single mother of six, grandmother of 3, and I recently exited my corporate career, 6-figure corporate career, 4 months ago after working in a corporation for 33 years. And I discovered emotional freedom technique, otherwise known as tapping, because even though I was earning mid 6 figures, great job on paper, great income on paper, every single month, Linus, I found myself in the red for over $2,000 a month.
Wow.
And I was creating all of this drama around paying my own bills. I was swimming in debt. And I constantly found myself in this state of giving, over giving, paying other people's rent, paying for other people's financial dramas while creating financial drama of my own. So I was stressed out, overwhelmed, and ashamed of how my money was showing up or not showing up every single month. And I couldn't even tell my girlfriends because it was so shameful. So I sought the assistance of a wealth therapist. They exist. And she introduced me to emotional freedom technique. Now, emotional freedom technique, or tapping, is the only clinically proven mind-body connection tool that actually brings down the fight or flight response or deregulates the stress response. It also helps you to get quickly to the root of some core limiting beliefs that often go unchecked in our nervous system 24/7. Thoughts like you have to work twice as hard to be paid half as much, or thoughts like, if you're not working in corporate, you're not going to make it at all. You can't be an entrepreneur. Or thoughts like money doesn't grow on trees, or making money isn't easy, or nothing about money is easy. So by using tapping, this modality where you're actually expressing how you feel as you're feeling it while tapping on acupressure points on your body, I was able to uncover some very specific traumas that were associated in my money every single time I thought about my money, like savings or debt or income goals, credit score. And it was eliciting all of these mind, body, money connections within my body. And by tapping, I started changing my money story. And then I noticed other things were happening as well. My confidence level raised, my self-doubt completely lowered. That inner critic I had a really strong inner critic. She had a very strong voice. And all of a sudden that started dimming down. And I was like, wait a minute, this is incredible. And I wanted to share that with more and more people. Now, I had been in corporate America for 33 years, but on the side, I was coaching women. I was an empowerment coach. So I started bringing this modality more and more into my business until it got to the point where not only was I raising the women that I serve, their confidence level, but they were also doubling, tripling, in some cases 10xing their income. At that point, I left corporate America, and this is what I'm focused on day in and day out. And
That's wonderful. I mean, it's a wonderful story, first of all. And of course, my first thought was, you're talking, how does someone get $2,000 in debt every month if they're making over, $30,000-$40,000 a month? That's a whole nother story. But the other thing is, a lot of people, when they hear these kinds of things, holistic practices about tapping and all of that, they think, oh, that's that woo-woo stuff.
Yes.
But, there is a science behind it. What's the science behind it?
The science behind it is once you can start deregulating that fight or flight response or the stress response, you actually are opening yourself up to clarity and focus. And it's from that clear and focused place that you can start taking these inspired actions that create more money for you. Or once you've uncovered some lies that we tell ourselves that feel really, really true, once you realize that it's not the truth at all, you can start creating some truths in your life, like I'm $1 million money manager. That can become your truth.
All right, I'm going to do that one. I like that one, $1 million money manager.
One of my favorites.
You mentioned something about the whole tapping and acupuncture points. How does that work, and where are the points?
Well, there are various acupressure points on your body, and with tapping, you tap lightly on them with 2 fingers, and here's one. It's the eyebrow point. They're polar points. And another point would be the side of the eye, which is like right at the crease of your eye, tapping there. And as you're tapping, you're just expressing how you feel, even those messy emotions like I'm overwhelmed. And you keep tapping on that. Here's another point under the eye, right there. And prior to tapping, you're going to measure the feeling that you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being completely, whatever the state is, completely overwhelmed. So here's another point between your nose and your upper lip. So if you're at a 10 of being overwhelmed prior to tapping, you write that down. And then you start expressing how you feel. Here's another point here. I'm so overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel overwhelmed. It's collarbone point right here at the side of the collarbone. And as you're talking about how overwhelmed you feel, you just go with it. Like, what are those feelings? What is the overwhelm saying? This is the under the arm point,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about where your bra line would end for women. And you just keep saying exactly how you're feeling at the time. And here's the top of the head point. If you take your fingers to the tip of your ear and bring them up, the top of the head, and go around like that. So those are the basic points. So there's also the side of the hand, which is called the karate chop point, and you would tap here. And usually you tap here when you're starting your tapping script. So when you're finished tapping and you're finished expressing how you feel, and you'll start feeling the energy moving from these meridian points that we've just tapped on. And you may experience yawning or sneezing, but there's definitely a shifting of the energy and a shifting of the emotions as they're being processed throughout your body.
So you're beginning to bring down or deregulate the flight and fight response to a point where you're able to clear out some of that negative energy that kind of response brings, and kind of bring in things that are more positive. Does it just open you up to more possibilities as a result?
It opens you up to more possibilities as a result, absolutely. And you keep tapping until you're no more than like a 0 and a 3 of feeling stressed or overwhelmed or panicked. And then you can start tapping in those positive emotions that you want to feel like. And I choose to feel peace rather than panic. And I choose to experience joy. And you open yourself up to receiving all of these good things that we want, that we talk about all the time, like money and joy.
You know, I have to be transparent and say that I know some of what Keisha's talking about, because I have had a session with her and it has totally changed my life in terms of my ability to manifest what it is that I need. And of course, now I'm working on the manifestation of it just continuing all the time, not every time like, let me start tapping and manifesting. the current flow. But she did a money mapping session for me and explained to them, what is a money mapping session and how does that work?
Mm-hmm. A money mapping session is one of my favorite things, and it's where we start uncovering what's going on in your mind and your body and your thoughts every time you think about one of the 6 different types of money. And those 6 different types of money are savings, debt or bills, credit score, income goals, and something I like to call toxic money. And that's money where you're somehow or another either in battle for money or being manipulated to receive money that you need to survive. I see that a lot in child support. Mm-hmm. When it comes to child support. And once we start examining those feelings and emotions that come up whenever you think about those types of money, it's really going on in your subconscious or even unconscious, we can start changing how you feel, which will change how you're actually manifesting money. Because I believe we have the feelings and the emotions first, and that's the place that we manifest from.
And that is so cool, because I have found that to be true. In fact, right now, one of the things I'm going to do today, at some point, I'm going to go back over her scripts or her tapes that she sent me and begin that tapping process all over again. Because remember, you sent me one that's going to last for 7 days, and I haven't done it consistently since I was 7 days. I'm going to do it again because something happened. Money started coming in from the most unlikely sources. And others, from the unlikely sources. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that my reaction to it was different. I discovered that, one of the issues around for me was holding on to money. Not that I couldn't hold on to it, but I probably held on to it for too long. Because I didn't want my bank balance to go down, which is really a negative form of thinking. Because who cares if it goes down? Because it'll just go back up again. It's like, I'll wait until something is due to pay it instead of paying it when I have it. Okay, great, pay it.
Yeah, that's so common. I know that was me as well, Linus. I mean, I would hold on to what money I had with this like clenched fist.
Mm-hmm.
And I would turn around and the money would be gone anyway.
Yeah.
But when your fists are clenched, they're not open. They're not open to receive that continual flow of money. And if we truly believe that the earth is abundant, then we should be blessing our bills and sending the money off, knowing that our cup is going to be refilled.
That your cup is already going to be full and overflowing. And that's been my experience. And talk about the overflow. Because something happens to me. Yeah, what is that exactly?
Yeah, the overflow. I mean, I love to talk about that because it happens with all of my clients. Once you start shifting your internal beliefs and your money story shifts or your confidence level shifts, it affects not only you, but everyone around you. They start shifting too. And I know, Linus, you have a great story about some of the shifts as
Yeah.
coming in from these unexpected places.
Yeah.
in your life.
Absolutely. And how it happened with since I started tapping, my oldest daughter got this fabulous new job, a promotion that she didn't think she was going to really qualify for, but I encouraged her to go ahead and do it anyway. And I was kind of concerned about her being, what was going to happen if she didn't get it. And then about 2 days after I started tapping, she called me. She said, not only did she get it, but when she first of all, when she walked into the interview, she was like, oh no, because everybody looks, she said, like the part, and she doesn't, whatever that means.
Right.
The silly stories we tell ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But then it came time for the negotiation of the salary, and she's like, well, I really want to get, a certain percentage, but they never do that. Well, they ended up giving her double the percentage of what she wanted. And I've been in human resources before this life. I was in human resources for 25 years, and they don't normally give 2-digit increases if they don't have to, Right. But I was like, wow. And I felt like that's the overflow. I know that's the overflow. And a couple of other things like that happened with my immediate family in my life, the things that they weren't expecting to happen money-wise, and it happened. And then for me, I got new clients, but I also came up with a new show, a new line of business. Just all this creativity of ways to increase my good fortune and my manifestation came into being. And it was just really an amazing time when that first happened. That's why I need to go back to it. Now, tell us a little bit about that. Look, okay, is this really true? Now, I haven't done it in about, I think it's been about 4 or 5 days. So let's say I go back and I do my tapping now. Will I suddenly be hit with an overwhelming response, or is it subtle? Or how does that work? Or is there any telling in terms of how it will work?
Well, it's always measurable, but it could come suddenly, like it came suddenly for you, or it could just come steadily, right? Mm-hmm. With steady increases. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, what always happens is once you start removing those feelings of panic and overwhelm, it will come.
Yes.
Just will.
Yes.
Because
And
you've opened up the space for it to come.
That's interesting. Let's talk about opening up that space, because there's an analogy you use, I believe it was you, that talks about opening up the space and how you do it. I'm trying to, oh no, you know what? I take that back. It was a guest that we had earlier, Mae McCarthy, and she was talking about gratitude and abundance and how important forgiveness is in the area of receiving. Could you explain that piece, why that works in terms of why that's important when it comes to manifesting?
I heard someone say once, and I can't remember who it was, but it's certainly part of the law of attraction. The universe loves a vacuum. And so if you are clogged up with unforgiveness or clutter in your physical environment, or even mentally, you're holding space that could actually be held for money, wealth, charisma, anything you want, really, all of those positive emotions that you want. So once we start clearing out the things that feel messy and are messy, we're opening ourselves up. It's like we have a clean vessel or a new wineskin, right? In order to fill with this new juicy goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. And the way she described it is that if you have a cup that is full, and you want to put more liquid in that cup, you know that if you do that, you're going to end up losing some of the stuff that's in it. It's going to overflow. So if you want to make room for that more liquid, you've got to pour that other stuff out so that you can make more. In this case, pour out the unforgiveness. Get rid of that, because that is a blessing blocker. And I absolutely believe that to the core of my being, that without unforgiveness, then you're going to be locked up. It's not that you won't manifest anything. You might manifest something, but you can manifest so much more if you release the control and the energy that unforgiveness has over you, because it takes energy to hold on to that unforgiveness.
It does. And I really love to, when I work working with my clients, when we start talking about unforgiveness, I really love to examine areas in their lives where they haven't forgiven themselves. Where the running dialogue is, I should have known better, I should have known better, I should have done better. And once we can start clearing out that block and showing ourselves self-compassion, self-empathy, knowing that we did the best we could with the resources that we had and what we knew then, well, that clears away the trauma of past failures, past mistakes, and it allows you to move forward rather than staying stuck in that energy of, well, I failed before, so I guess why try now?
And why do you think that the practice of tapping could be really important for women in midlife? Why do you think it would add more value to them?
Because for me, at 50, I was able to get up and walk away from a corporate job to do what I love, knowing that I would be fully supported. I would not have been able to do that without tapping, because it was with tapping that I was able to tap into my deepest desires and a cellular belief that I deserve to be happy. I was able to raise my deservingness level to, I don't have to walk around trying to please everyone else and making sure everybody else is okay. Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. But first, I have to know that I'm okay and I'm happy.
You've been cured of the needs to please disease.
I've gone from doormat to diva.
Yes. Okay. Oh, from doormat to diva, rid of the need to please disease, because that's true. A lot of us have the need to please disease. We're so used to giving bits and pieces out to ourselves. To, you know, as women, we are normally nurturers, care providers, educators, counselors, all the ers, we usually are that. And we get put all the way in the back burner. We find ourselves moving further and further back. And as I like to say, by the time you reach back there to pull yourself forward, it's really difficult because you've got all these people in front of you that you got to push out of the way. And sometimes it feels overwhelming to try to even take care of yourself in a different way.
Right. I mean, that was part of my swimming in debt story. I was giving my money away to people who I felt deserved it more than I did. Even though I was earning it, I felt that, well, they deserve it more. So here's my peace offering. I'm so sorry. I'm making 6 figures. You need it more. Here, take it. And that was my underlying worthiness belief, that I didn't deserve this. This was just a fluke of nature and someone's made a mistake, but I'm going to right that wrong.
Right. People who want to change their ability to generate more income, they want to change their lives in terms of their overall wealth, which can definitely be tied to your wellness. You're worried and stressed out about money all the time and you're not well. What's the first step? What do they need to do?
First, identify that there's an issue. And identify what it is, even if it feels like shameful. And that might be the issue. I feel ashamed. And talk about it and get guidance. Like, talk to an EFT practitioner, talk to you, Lynn, as a holistic wellness person, talk to someone like me, or even a close friend. But first, identifying that there is an issue, because the first part of transformation is clarity. And sometimes that clarity is just simply saying, here's the issue.
Well, I know my grandmother used to say that identifying a problem, 50% of it is just identifying, or more than 50%, is just identifying it. And by identifying it, you kind of like rip the cover off. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen mold growing underneath the sink or something like that. Yeah. It's dark and dusty underneath there. But the minute you shine a light on it, it's kind of gross looking, but over time it dries up because it's exposed to the air and it can't expand and grow any longer because it's been exposed. And that's the same thing about exposing our fears and the things that we like to keep in that dark place because it's embarrassing or we don't want to recognize it or we're in denial or whatever. But the minute you expose it to the light, usually if you haven't seen light for a long time and then it turns on, what do? You shrink back. It's the same kind of thing with exposing our fears and the blocks of our manifestation and other things that are keeping us from moving forward. When you expose it to the light, it all of a sudden takes away the mystery and the power it seems to have over you, because you're like, aha, there you are. And then you begin to devise that plan to remove it forever.
You remove it forever, and you're taking your power back.
Yes.
You're taking your power back, and that is healing within itself.
Absolutely. So for people who want to take their power back, manifest wealth, become more confident and increase their self-esteem, where do they need to go, Keisha? How can they get in touch with you?
Get in touch with me at www.keishadixon.thetappingqueen.com. I'm also on Facebook at The Tapping Queen.
Absolutely. And I cannot tell you how much my life has changed by just knowing this woman, because she is such a positive influence. She's motivating, but also she practices what she preaches. I've seen her literally move what's bigger than mountains, monstrosities. Like, like one of those characters on Star Trek. I sometimes wonder.
My superpower.
Is where is she really from? Because I've seen her just move things away. Wonder Woman, okay? In the flesh, right here, Keisha Dixon, the Tapping Queen. Make sure you check her out. There is her website and her Facebook. Follow her. Click on her. Find out about her services. They are truly valuable. And I have to encourage all of you who are listening to this broadcast, begin to recognize your value and embrace your awesomeness. It's so important, because if you don't do it, no one else will. And no one knows you better than you. And if you're not feeling like you're valuable, well, then you better find out why you're not feeling that way and get to it. As the great late Aretha Franklin used to say, jump to it, girls. Embrace your value, embrace your awesomeness, and go after your passions and pursue your dreams. And call Keisha. She'll give you she'll give you what's needed to manifest all of that. Thank you, Keisha, for being
Thank you so much, Linus. Thank you.
And thank you to all of you for listening and finding out how you can embrace your awesomeness and how you can continue to be well as you age in your mind, body, and spirit. My name is Linus Woods Mullins, and you've been listening to the Wellness Journey podcast series. We'll see you again next time. Join me next week when I'll have a new guest discussing a new topic that will aid you at every point on your wellness journey. For more information on how to strengthen your mind, body, and spirit, click the link on your screen to check out my e-magazine, Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond. Till next time, keep living your life like it's golden.
For more wonderful shows like this, please go to selfdiscoveryradio.com, podcasts, and see our lineup. And if you wish to support us, we have a funded button. Please stay tuned for our next show.